We're sitting here with Dirk Lance. He's one of the founders of the band Incubus. He's no longer with them. He was with them for 12 years, and now he's got a solo project called Willie's Nerve Clinic. He's doing his own thing now. Now, being with the band like Incubus for 12 years, and that Incubus has that sound, that when they come on, it's like, that's Incubus. But you were a big part of that, creating that sound as far as like writing the music. And so when you're off, been there for 12 years, you got the certain type of thing that you guys do, and you're doing your own thing now. Is it Incubus-like, or are you trying to go some completely different direction?
As a bass player, I think I have a style, so to speak, but this music is nothing like the other music because I'm playing with different musicians. This is much more of a sort of 70s classic rock thing.
Yeah?
Oh.
Yeah. Like Yes, Steely Dan.
But you got the look for that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, it's a function of who I'm playing with, too. The guitar player was my original bass teacher 23 years ago. And he's actually in his mid-60s. He's like an old-school Motown guy. He used to have a big blonde afro.
And he's in the band with you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He still has a big blonde afro?
Well, I keep asking him to go get a perm, and he won't do it. He could have a big blonde afro if he wanted to, which would be much cooler if he did. But
How many in the band? You and this guy, what's his name?
Stray.
And then, so how many people total in the band?
There's 3 of us. We also have a German drummer. Hot blonde German drummer.
Hot blonde?
It just kind of worked out that way.
Nice.
The internet is awesome.
How'd you get the name Willie's Nerve Clinic? Like, how'd you come up with that?
I guess our guitar player used to buy his pot from a guy who had that on his business card. I mean, you can't make that up, right?
Yeah, right. This is some of the best stories. Like, where'd that name come from? Well, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's no dumber than Incubus, you know?
I'm surprised you didn't go with, like, Succubus or something. Just be like, Incubus and we're Succubus.
I think we contemplated that 20 years ago, and it's like, you don't want to have suck in your name. Was pointed out to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of suck, you do have a Ron Jeremy story that I'm dying to hear.
I was at a CVS out in the San Fernando Valley probably 10 years ago, and I don't know if I was picking up a prescription or probably doing something shady.
Stealing someone's.
Yeah.
Hopping over the counter.
Yeah, and I see Ron Jeremy, and I'm like, hey, how are you, man? A big fan. I don't know why I would say that, because that's like, I appreciate what you do. And he's like, yeah, cool. You want to buy a T-shirt? I'm like, you sell T-shirts? He's like, yeah. So he's got this crappy car. I mean, really crappy car. And from what I understand, he's actually pretty wealthy, but he's just cheap.
Oh.
So he sells me a T-shirt out of the trunk of his car.
Wait, so do you finish up at CVS? Like, you're like, hey, well, I just got to get a couple
No,
things.
I think I'm walking out, and I see him, and I mean, it's not as if he's standing there selling out of the trunk of his car, but he's prepared in case the opportunity arises. So he goes, he gets the shirt, and it's a picture of him 30 years ago, looking good. And
See,
a
that's
picture
what I was telling him. He looked...
No, he was a handsome man.
Right.
And there's a picture of him now looking not good, and it says, Ron Jeremy, like, 1 million served, or something like that.
Wow.
Do you still have it?
I don't know what happened to it. I may still have it. It was a horrible shirt in the sense that I think he got it printed at Kinko's. I mean, literally, it was, he did not put money into
comfortable. It was
this.
made of burlap.
Yeah.
It's all scratchy.
Yeah, it was made out of the tissues that were used on the set.
Oh, yeah.
All sewn together. Sewn together, just stuck together.
Yeah.
That seems so...
It seems sad, but obviously, I mean, he's just, he's
made
ready.
money.
Oh, homeboy charged me like $25 for that thing. I do not feel sorry for this man.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And he's still out there banging really attractive women. And you got to ask yourself, like, I mean, is it a rite of passage to get into the porn business of this guy? You got to run through this guy first?
And I'm glad that he's okay now. He was recently in the hospital. He had
was he?
a heart aneurysm.
Yeah, he was close
for
to
3
death.
weeks. He's lost 45 pounds and gained 3 inches.
Back to his back to his first picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
gained 3 inches.
That's what I hear. If you lose weight, every 5 pounds or 10 pounds, you gain an inch or something like that.
I find that hard to believe.
I'm hoping.
Well, where does it?
Don't ruin my dream of losing weight.
Why, do you plan on actually losing weight?
No, I never do. Really.
No.
I talk a big game.
Yeah, you like beer too much.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd have to quit drinking.
Yeah.
It's hard. How hard is it to quit drinking? Me and you used to be drinking buddies. I mean, we used to have some good times. And when a drinking buddy quits drinking, we never hang out anymore.
Well, Frank, some people go, you know what? I've had my fill. I think I've had enough. I've
Oh
drank
God,
all the alcohol I can.
it was pointed out to me by not only many people, but I really had to look at my own life that I had probably done enough. I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
I'm
Really?
not lucky to be sober. I had to work on that,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
am lucky to be alive.
What was it? Do you remember a story where you, or you were told a story where you're like, really? Whoa. Okay, maybe I gotta reel this in.
There's two things. I mean, a lot of times I would have to like CSI my evening from the night before. Like I'd go through the trash and be like, okay, I went to Carl's Jr.
Okay.
I'd look at my phone and say, I called this person, I sent that text, and it's never cool when the next morning you're like, okay, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, half the people
those-
I was hanging out with were like, I don't know. If you don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
We need to have somebody who's sober to take notes or something.
Well, our friend Tim is very fond of saying blacking out means never having to say you're sorry. And that was a way I lived for a long time. And it's not good.
Yeah.
And then I went to Belize a number of years ago and was out on a boat drinking rum in the sun for like 4 hours, just getting plastered. And by the end of the evening, you know, I was punching myself in the face, you know, just for no good reason. It just
I wasn't
seemed-
even mad at myself.
no, I mean, we were trying to have this big dinner with all the couples that were together on this trip, and for some reason I kept slapping myself in the face, and I just made an ass out of myself, and it took a long time. That wasn't enough to sober me up,
Right.
but
It just ruined the vacation for everybody else.
yeah, no, I did. But I'd kind of had enough, man. I was gonna die.
Yeah, I mean,
it takes.
You're like, yeah, you were gonna die.
He was. So, but yeah, I'm still. I took a break for a while because on last St. Patty's Day, and I'm not even looking forward to this one. Last St. Patty's Day, one of those where I was behind the bar doing the same thing when I'm behind the bar serving people, and I went over to the chilled Jaeger machine and
Jaeger iced
and put a mug under it
on tap.
and filled it up, and I mean I was doing it kind of like incognito, but I knew people were watching because I was behind the bar.
No, a beer mug full
And I
of
was-
Jaeger.
and then just
About how I rolled.
and just drank the thing, and then obviously with Jaeger you do have that moment where you just don't remember
Good
anything,
night.
and
Good
then
night.
Continued the whole night. Woke up on my couch that I completely peed myself. I peed so much.
I was gonna say, did you poop yourself?
No, I didn't. Have you ever pooped yourself?
No.
Thank God.
But there are stories of people who've done that where they're like,
Oh, yeah.
"What's your rock bottom?" And it's usually involving.
I peed
poo.
myself so much that I shorted out my phone. I mean, I had that much urine, and I didn't even move or wake up. And then I just flipped the cushion back over and just.
and blame the dogs.
And
Babe,
blame the
seriously,
dogs.
these dogs.
I
keep
took a
peeing in the
2-month break. I had to sometimes you gotta let the liver clean out.
house.
But,
Yeah, heal itself.
But no, I'm glad that you're back and you're doing your thing. And when we come back, we're gonna play a little bit of Dirk Lance music. He's formerly of Incubus, and now he's got his own thing, Willie's Nerve Clinic. We're gonna listen to that. And he's got a show tomorrow night at Molly Malone's. What time does the show start?
I think we're on at like 10:30. So if you want to go drinking, I'd say show up before then.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll probably sound better.
We'll find out what it sounds like when we come back. More with Dirk Lance and his band Willie's Nerve Clinic. We are Heidi and Frank.
That was just a little sample of the Heidi and Frank Show on 95.5 KLOS. To get more samples like this and hear all the fun we have, you can do that at 955KLOS.com. Now, to get the show in its entirety on demand, and if you want to watch the show, we webcast it every day, all you have to do is go to HeidiandFrank.com and become a premium package member. Do it right now.